This video is sponsored by Raycon. Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 172. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk on my painting, modeling, and wargame experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. There's a new mini coming for Necromunda. Actually, it's a returning older mini. Age of Sigmar is finally coming out with its 4th edition. A couple of war games died, and we don't know, but there's a lot of fun speculation on what's coming next for Warhammer 40,000. But first, have you ever needed to listen to things? Well, then today's sponsor, Raycon, might be the thing for you. Raycon's everyday earbuds are the premier earbud for listening to everything from your music, audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube videos, and more. Raycon has already sold 3 million of their best-selling earbuds, more than proof of their quality. But wait, I hear you say, can I really get the same audio quality as earbuds that cost 2 or 3 times the price? Yes, you can. Not only do they have the superior audio quality for the cost, but they also have excellent ergonomic design, multi-point connectivity for connecting 2 devices at once, and active noise cancellation to really let you bask in the sounds of Oingo Boingo, that newest Warhammer novel, or YouTube video. I love having my Raycons in while I'm sitting down for a long painting session. They help keep me focused while I'm finishing up a 24-hour challenge. And I know they'll be there for me the whole time with their enormous 32 hours of battery life. They're comfortable, easy to slip in, and quickly charge up to full power right away. They come in multiple colors, I love the purple, and they have designer cases for extra charm. If you want to try out Raycon earbuds for yourself, you can follow the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/EonsOfBattle to get 50% off your Raycon order plus free shipping. Every new thing for Necromunda Hive Secundis Nuts is looking absolutely phenomenal. Like, I know Age of Sigmar 4th edition is just about to come out, and I am excited for that, but Necromunda, like, I have some Necromunda gangs I need to build. I've played Necromunda before, it's really fun. All of these new minis are super tempting. And when I saw this new one, Lady Hera Felmar merges from the undershells in the unique Spire suit. I thought that this model was super cool, but then I noticed the weapons and the name. That should have been the giveaway, but I don't know Necromunda that well, but this is actually the previously released character, just the wild, crazy princess of Necromunda, who has, in my opinion, the most 40k outfit like that has ever existed. I love 40k in theory has this kind of like medieval gothic aesthetic, but not much stuff actually has it. Like Sisters of Battle, a little bit like the Tempestus Scions, Space Marines, but only if you play Black Templar or Dark Angels. Like most stuff in 40k is kind of average, like generic military or is alien Xenos. But Lady Helena is perfect. It's the big ruffles, the gown, the weird and like wacky armor with the techno gubbins running through it. It is incredible. I would love to see some more stuff like this just in 40k in general. I feel like they went pretty easy on the rogue traders when they came out for Kill Team. Like, they're fine. They just kind of look like fellas, just folks running around. They have a little bit of filigree on their cloaks, but other than that, like, I want to see the wacky, weird zaniness. 30,000 years of imperial regression to like a technocracy, like a super crazy just world. But most everything is mostly fine. Space Marines are unchanged for 30,000 years, essentially. There's new Primaris, but they're kind of, is there that much difference between like Mark 7 Space Marine armor and Mark 10 Tacticus armor? And there's only one jump in between because they skip 9. Like, but I love just the weird and wackiness of it. And her new outfit is probably even weirder and wackier. It looks like something from Corvus Belli's Infinity, and I have a drawer full of Corvus Belli Infinity. There's so much. There's too much stuff out there. If I had, all I would need is like an extra 17 days a week, and I could get it all done. That's all it would take. All of this stuff looks so cool. It's totally possible to pull off this paint scheme using normal like acrylic paints, but this is a Forge World model, and like I bet that Games Workshop, the painters at Games Workshop use some of like the Green Stuff World color shift paints, or maybe the Huge Miniatures color shift paints to get just that glittery glimmer. It looks like metallic paint. You can sort of get a metallic color effect using contrast paints, but it's tricky to pull off, and it always looks a little bit dull, and you have to varnish it in exactly the right way to get those metallic flakes to shine through the opaque layers of paint. Even contrast paint is somewhat opaque, but yeah, she's got her classic spear and sword. She's got her big old claws that are just extra arms. I guess all of the different tubes that are running directly into her forehead are controlling the second set of arms, which shouldn't really be possible because you'd think your brain can only handle doing your two arms. It's actually kind of an interesting idea that Games Workshop, like most sci-fi universes, completely handwave how our mech suits piloted. Like, remember in Pacific Rim, the really good Guillermo del Toro movie that definitely didn't have a sequel? They had to use their entire bodies to properly move all the different appendages of the giant mech suits. And that actually makes a lot of sense. Like, how does your brain know to move a fake knee or a fake elbow or a fake wrist? Like, you almost have to do it in a real way, like in a VR Wii Sports Resort kind of way of you're actually moving in physical space, and that's moving like a different version of an arm in, like, that's just been enlarged. Like, it's you do have to do things that way, or else there's no way to actually do it. I guess in theory, some sort of an AI or just a computer system could interpret, I want to go forward, interpret that as left, right, shift the weight, move the elbows. Like, it's possible, but I do appreciate that Games Workshop's like, well, how would this actually work? And then playing with it just enough to keep things really silly and wacky, but have there be a certain believability to the crazy, crazy weirdness. And obviously, yeah, drilling something into somebody's head means that they can do anything imaginable. I really like this model. I really like all of the Spire Hunters. The story of Helena is crazy, where she murders everyone and everything. And then when she's done murdering, she's like, whew, that was a busy day of murdering. I guess just to blow off some steam, I'll head down into the Underhive and just murder whoever I find down there too. A really fun character. I love both of her looks. I think I have to get her older look, but the new one is really cool too. The Games Workshop keeps teasing all this Necromunda stuff, and once it comes out, I just want it to come out so I can see the price and make my decision. Oh, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be really bad. The Exile Necromunda, when not in the Hive War, but when they're out in the Wastelands, it was 300 bones for that box. I don't even want to think what the Spire is gonna cost. Good old Necromunda House or Hive Secundus. These nuts. They knew it. They knew what they were doing with the name Secundus. They had to know. But speaking of had to know, I think Games Workshop had to know that they're like the way that they do their edition changes in their big army releases wouldn't work for Age of Sigmar the way it works for 40K. I feel like 40K, there was some oddness to it. So the big thing going on for Age of Sigmar right now is you can pre-order the box. Vermin Doom, I wish it was called Vermin Doom. It's called Vermin Tide, but Vermin Doom is just a line from one of the articles, and I just love the silliness of that. But they're gonna show off the rules on Monday. They're gonna be showing off the core rules, but then you gotta wait till Tuesday if you're an Order faction to get your rules. And then Wednesday for Chaos, and then Thursday for Death, and then Friday for Destruction, and then Monday the next week for everything else. So it's getting drip fed a little, but just release it all on one day. Didn't we learn from Warhammer 8th edition? I guess in 8th edition, we didn't get the rules instantaneously for free. We had to wait for the indexes. We might have gotten instant rules to tide us over from the indexes. Or maybe I'm just thinking of how fast the indexes got pirated, that I was able to get the rules really, really quick. 40K, it sort of worked because 40K is just so wickedly popular that like everyone rabidly read and digested the rules as they released them periodically day by day. I feel like for Age of Sigmar though, even though it's a similar sized game in its complexity and in like the amount of information that you need to know, I feel like I just want it. Just drop it all on one day. I'll clear out an evening. I'll read everything there is to know about the game. And I guess I can wait 2 weeks for all of these different things to come out and then download them all. But I don't know. I feel like they showed off the cool minis and the cool animations so long ago. We still don't have a release schedule on some of the other things that they're adding to complement the Vermintide box. I feel like it lost a lot of oomph for me for Age of Sigmar 4th edition, where if it was just like, you know what, like day before pre-order, boom, here's everything, pre-order what you need to pre-order, and then get to playing, I feel like that would have been better than just following exactly what they did with Warhammer 40,000 and drip feeding everything. And I would say it worked for Warhammer 40,000 in that the fans are just so rabid that they'll just deal with it. But I feel like it is just better just to get all of the info and knowledge, be able to cross-reference, and be able to just start playing the game. Because really all I want is, kind of want Vermintide. I kind of still want Vermintide. And I want to play with my Sylvaneth. I've never played a game with my Sylvaneth. I've only played the Stormcast Eternals in Age of Sigmar. So I'm really excited to see what my tree ladies are going to be able to do in this new edition of Age of Sigmar. See, I'm doing it. Even I don't care about Age of Sigmar. I have been enjoying the spit out of 40k though. And speaking of enjoying the spit out of games, my all-time favorite miniature war game of all time was Star Wars XWing in like 2015. And hilariously, we just bought a Galaxy gaming mat that's like 3x3, perfect for Star Wars X-Wing to play the game on. The game has officially been discontinued, along with Armada, but I feel like, I want to say I read an article before from Atomic Mass Games, who used to own it, they saying that Armada would no longer be supported, but they would still make the minis, but I think now they're both completely kaput. And not everything can't last forever, and I do think X-Wing had some big stumbles. From the perfect days of X-Wing 2015, they had just the right amount of ships, and there were a couple of like ships from the movies that you would really recognize and you really want them in your army. Then it started to fall off where they ran out of ships from the actual movies, so then they started to bring in a little bit of the expanded universe stuff and the Scum and Villainy expansion, which I think was really good for the game. That had just happened in 2015, and that's the faction that I played against my nemesis Sean and some other friends. But then eventually, the new ships always had way better rules, to the point where you don't bring X-Wings, you don't bring Y-Wings, you barely bring the Millennium Falcon, and instead you're bringing all of these weird ships that no one has ever heard of or seen. And then they decided to change editions. And I feel like X-Wing was being predominantly played by board gamers who don't love the idea of second editions or even know what they are. Then there was the expensive card packs. And then they went down the rabbit hole of the prequel series ships without releasing all of the original ships for the X-Wing first edition. I'm still missing my K-Wing and my Scourge bombers. I want those minis and I can't have them. There's still a decent scene for X-Wing, kind of Armada, but Armada was always kind of the awkward stepchild of the Star Wars in space games, because X-Wing was a phenomenal game and decently cheap to get into, where Armada was really expensive and kind of the same thing. It did have differences in like how you actually played the game, and there's a difference between the feeling of capital ships versus fighters, but I mean, I spent so much money on X-Wing that I'm like, I'm not also gonna spend a crazy amount of money on Armada. It is sad to see these games finally go out to pasture. They're gonna go to a farm and live their days happily. I've been checking eBay like weekly because I really want to buy Armada, and I've been hoping that somebody is like, yeah, I'm just selling off my Armada stuff, just $100 or maybe $200, just here's everything. No, for some reason, Armada, the value is not dropping. If anything, it's going up. I might have to wait like a decade, because it's like, I'm selling off my Armada stuff, so $1,200 and it's yours. It's like, no, I mostly want these things for desk toys, because the ships are so cool and they're pre-painted and they look lovely and they're just the right size to hold in your hand and just make vroom vroom noises as I'm eating my lunch while like watching YouTube. That's really kind of all I want from Armada, and I can't spend crazy money to make that happen, but I'm gonna miss X-Wing, but I'm gonna miss, I did buy the upgrades, and I read all of the new rules for X-Wing 2nd edition, and I agree with all the changes they made. I think everything looked great. The digital rules were the digital points values, there weren't digital rules, and that combination was kind of frustrating, because in a game like X-Wing where everything is based on cards and upgrade cards, it felt weird to need the cards and to need the upgrade cards, but then need to also use an app to get the points values of those cards. And so then it became like, well, do I actually need to buy a second copy of Howler Runner, or can I just pretend, because I have to pretend anyway that the number on the card is correct with the app? And so I think a lot of people felt like their cards didn't have as much value because their cards weren't official or correct. And you kind of can't play XWing First Edition anymore because you can't let people take, what was it? It was Howler Runner, and there was one other Imperial Ace that was just unfair and broke the game. I've played against that ship so many times because it was Sean's favorite thing, but it was game breaking. It was like, oh, you get a free boost, you get a free barrel roll, you get a free focus token, you get 3 stress tokens for doing all that, but they all go away the next time you can do a free green U-turn. It was undefeated, like it was unplayable. The level of overpoweredness that happened towards the end of X-Wing First Edition. And I think it was all fixed in X-Wing Second Edition, but by then the game had just kind of transformed and was a tricky beast to manage. And I think that's eventually what led to its demise. But it's a tabletop war game, so technically there's never really a demise. If you have the models or just like own Tabletop Simulator, you can play any game for the rest of time. So, X-Wing, you beautiful summer child. Which, what a beautiful, beautiful little game. But speaking of beautiful little games, I don't know if that qualifies for 40K, but 40K is a game. And currently we have 11 codexes. The last ones was Sisters of Battle and Genestealer Cult, which I love the Genestealer Cult, and I would love to play Sisters. More time. If I just had more time. But the next codex on the roadmap is the Redacted Codex. And I don't know whether to be excited or cautiously pessimistic about a new codex. Because I feel like there's been a lot of rumors of what this Redacted Codex could be. And I feel like the fact that it is redacted is like, please make up crazy, awesome rumors to keep people excited. I think there's a 50% chance that in a few weeks or a few months or whenever Games Workshop decides to tell us what's coming next for 40K, they're just going to be like, haha, we teased you guys. It was Space Wolves. It was Space Wolves the whole time. I think that's what totally could happen. The only other thing that would be interesting would definitely be Emperor's Children. Currently, 3 of the 4 Chaos Gods are represented properly as full factions for Warhammer 40,000. I think Emperor's Children would slot in really nicely. I love Noise Marines, Lucius the Eternal. There's something else for the Noise Marines. Oh yeah, Demon Primarch Fulgrim. Demon Primarch Fulgrim would be super cool. Kind of hot on the tails of the 30K Demon Primarch Fulgrim model coming out, but the 40K one would probably be 4 or 5 times the size, like kind of the size of Imperial Knights. That seems to be how big they're making the Demon Primarchs. That would be a pretty interesting thing they could do with this sneaky mystery codex. Another thing I think that they might do is make it either take Agents of the Imperium, which are kind of a thing right now. Agents of the Imperium are almost just, they're basically Legends units, but they're not quite Legends units. I feel like a really interesting thing they could do is just make a codex and call it Inquisition and have all of the Imperial agents in it and Deathwatch. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure Deathwatch Space Marines are not gonna be an army anymore because they kind of aren't currently. They have a really bad detachment rule, and Games Workshop has been utterly ignoring them. They've been doing a really good job of tweaking and updating all of the points values and the army rules for everything in Warhammer 40,000, while completely ignoring the Deathwatch. They have terrible win rates. They've never seen any points adjustments on any of their units. Literally one update saw every Terminator unit in the entire game take a massive points decrease, except Deathwatch Terminators. I'm pretty sure Games Workshop is either done with the Deathwatch or they're gonna get rolled into some sort of an Agents of the Imperium Codex. And a good way to do that would be to merge the two and to name it something just like Codex Inquisition. It would also be really cool to see army lists that can take more than 4 different Agents of the Imperium units, because currently at 2,000 points, you can take not two battle line. You can take 2 squads and you can take 2 leaders. But if you could if you took that codex and all of a sudden you can take any number of those units, this wouldn't be good. But I really want to bring all 4 assassins to a game of 40K and just see which one of them does the most damage. I mean, it's going to be Eversor, but maybe it's not. Like maybe if there's a Psyker on the board, the Calidus could do, or the Caluxus could do something. The Calidus is not bad, and she can teleport all over the board, maybe setting up some really good like charges later in the game. Oh yeah, and the sniper guy. The Vindicar, sometimes called Vindicare. If you listen to Kingbreaker, the audiobook, they call him Vindicare, and I can't imagine that's right. It sounds kind of cool, but I've never heard it before or since be called the Vindicare. His sniper doesn't quite do enough damage. He's really good at sniping out like special weapons operators inside of squads. I really like him against things like Thousand Suns. Thousand Suns, the sorcerers inside of Rubik Marine squads, like triple how powerful that unit is. So if you can do some precision shots and take out the sorcerer, it makes the game almost playable against Thousand Suns. By the way, Sean also plays Thousand Suns. Isn't that fun? But speaking of fun, you know what might be even more fun than Warhammer 40,000? That's right, our Patreon. Ever wanted to fight your battles in the labyrinthine hallways of a starship, moving your models in tight formation through a maze of corridors, bulkheads, and junctions where retreat is impossible and danger is around every corner? Well, the Eons of Battle Starship Interior is here to make that dream a reality. For the month of July, subscribers to our Patreon will receive the Starship Interior, a set of claustrophobic, dynamic, and modular hallways that are scaled to perfectly suit wargaming miniatures and give you a new way to play. And if you always want to be up to date on the current goings-on here at Eons of Battle and be entered into our monthly giveaways, this month we're picking 3 followers to win this month's train. You can follow the link in the description to sign up to our newsletter. I have been busily painting up Space Marine after Space Marine after Space Marine, and actually I'm going to be playing a game of 40k tonight with Sean, and I have a brand new list I want to try. It's Space Marine Swarm. He won't see this before tonight. Space Marine Swarm, and we'll see how it works. Thanks for watching.